Nominee for Principal Secretary in charge of Cabinet Affairs, Julius Korir, Bitok, has defended his integrity over scandals that occurred during his tenure as accounting officer in the Health and Devolution Ministries. The nominee appeared before the National Assembly Administration and Internal Affairs Committee on the first day of vetting of Principal Secretaries, nominees, during which 11 nominees were vetted from Security, Agriculture, Health and Treasury Ministries and were all interviewed, as Gishuki Washira reports.
Cabinet Affairs Principal Secretary nominee Julius Korir appeared before the Gabriel Tongoyo-led National Assembly Administration and Internal Affairs Committee to justify the import to have the new State Department.
We will be looking at one, improving public service productivity, which is hinged on one, automation of services to wananchi. Number two, also improving the capacities of staff and attitude to work and other things. So there will be also the public service reform so that staff can be more productive.
Korir, currently the Principal Secretary for Devolution, has served in 5 state departments as Principal Secretary since 2014. He was put to task over the medical equipment leasing scandal at the Health Ministry, as well as the relief food scandal at the Devolution Ministry.
On the issue of curbing corruption, I think one, for me, what I would say is that reducing interface between in processes, human interface in processes, which means we automate as much as possible, have a very credible, auditable process, which will be transparent and accountable to Kenyans.
I, Dr. Raymond Vicky Omollo.
The nominee for PS State Department of Interior, Raymond Omollo, also appeared before the MPs to justify his suitability. Omollo called for enhanced budgetary allocation to the security organs in order to deal with the rising insecurity cases.
And there is need to equip the officers with the most latest technological know-how to support them in undertaking their responsibilities.
Other nominees vetted by the National Assembly Administration and Internal Affairs Committee include PS nominee for State Department of Citizens Services, Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, and PS nominee Parliamentary Affairs, Aurera Rono. Meanwhile, Medical Services Principal Secretary nominee Engineer Peter Tum was taken to task to explain how he will address what in many cases has been seen as negligence in public hospitals. The National Assembly Health Committee, chaired by Robert Pukose, pointed out a case at Mama Lucy Hospital where a woman allegedly bled to death in the full glare of health workers.
And in your view, at what point of time was this woman's chance of survival lost? How would you, one, in general terms, address them as a health manager in general?
For me, I'm looking at it and I'm saying this is a complete system failure. And it is not only in Mama Lucy, that is a story that is replicated in very many areas. And you see, the problem that we've been having is that we are always pointing fingers at someone. And then you fail to understand why, when sitting in the Ministry of Health as policymakers, we cannot be able to deal with this thing.
Tum, at the same time, promised to improve services in public hospitals by prioritizing human resource and medical supplies. Ishuki Washira, Prime Edition.